live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today, this will be much shorter than the other previous Lounge Time episodes because today, I give you guys my handwritten ballot. Even though I'm not a voter on these awards or the Hall of Fame, I give you guys my predictions for who I think will be in the Hall of Fame 2026 class for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I will give you guys my NFL honors winners, in my opinion, who I think will win each award. We have those awards to go to. I'll give you guys all the nominees too. That way you guys can decide who you guys would vote for and stuff too in the comments. That's up to you. But there's been a big headline over the last 36 hours to 48 hours. And this is what I want to open the show with because it's just not right. And that is the Pro Football Hall of Fame snubbing Bill Belichick from being a first ballot Hall of Famer. Now, I'm opening this up first because I'm going to go right into the Hall of Fame class next, who I think is going to make it. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was preparing today's show to have Bill Belichick on my nominees for the senior committee. And then I saw the news Tuesday night and I'm going, are we serious right now? This has to be a troll. And then I seen who it came from, well-respected people at ESPN, Don Van Natta Jr. and Seth Wickersham, and I'm like, yep, it's legit. I'm like, wow. And the outrage on social media is totally justifiable. And I even had a tweet myself that it is BS that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. It is complete bullshit. And listen, you guys that have followed me on Lounge Time over the years know that I have bashed Belichick for the way he's handled the Patriots post-Brady. That should have nothing to do with his Hall of Fame credentials that he's rightfully earned. And I don't know if you guys want me to go through the whole list. I don't even think I have to, because you guys that know ball know exactly what he's done for this league. The way I look at the Hall of Fame for pro football is a lot like my old man does. Were they ever really the greatest at their position? Like, were they ever top 5? Were they ever, like, among the best of the best? In Belichick's case, he is in the top 5 respectfully this position, if not the greatest coach in the entire history of the league. So, logic would say, yes, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. But here's what pisses me the fuck off about the Pro Football Hall of Fame for the last 10 years now. And this is a Hall of Fame I respect a shit ton until the Belichick news broke. To me, a Hall of Fame that I think is, up until Tuesday night, mostly accurate with when it comes to the elite of the elites, for candidates that should be in, that mostly get in. There's been a few outliers that I don't like, how they've treated a few of them. I can remember Terrell Owens, about a decade ago, him getting snubbed on the first ballot, which I thought was wrong at the time too. And I know that they changed the law, the bylaws of they shouldn't factor in, I think it was off the field behavior and his antics and stuff. But that's why they didn't put T.O. in a nutshell. When there's been a lot of guys that have done worse off the field that still got in. Now, with the Belichick situation, this is what I'm hearing as to why he's not in. Okay? He wasn't a great guy towards the media. You've heard me bring that up on small occasions on the show, mostly during Belichick rants, but that's going to play, that played a role, but that's not the point of this. The reason he's not in, from what I've heard, is he was a jerk to the media at times, and they're bringing up the cheating allegations of Spygate and Deflategate, and here's really the biggest news that we've heard as to why he's not in, and I'm going to get to him in a minute, is they're bringing up Deflategate and Spygate like he had a lot part of it, and that the reason he's not first ballot is that he should wait because of that. Are we serious right now? We're going to bring up something 10 plus years ago and almost 20 plus years ago, and that's the reason we're going to make somebody wait? I'm trying not to rant. It might turn into one because I'm dumbfounded by this. I'm dumbfounded by this. One big area of criteria for me when I judge the Hall of Fame, and I'm not a voter, by the way, I go by who I think should be in based on what I've learned over the 15 plus years I've been watching football and what I know for people that usually get in and what their criteria is. I look at it also as this is the main reason. If you can't tell the history of the game, then they're not in. But you can't tell the history of the game without Bill Belichick, so he should be in. Let me rephrase that. If you can tell the history of the game without them, they're not in the Hall of Fame. But if you can't tell the history without them, then they should be in. Bill Belichick should be in the Hall of Fame. It should be no questions asked. And when I've heard people over the years say that the Hall of Fame is turning into the Hall of Very Good, looking at 10 years, these last 10 in particular, it's getting there. It really is. And what sucks is all the talk of this Hall of Fame class is going to be, well, Bill Belichick should have made it. And he rightfully should have. And I know for a fact, as of last night, there have been 2 voters that have been named that did not vote for Belichick. One of them happened to work for the Kansas City Star, and the other one was from Pittsburgh. And I'll get the names in a little bit. I'm going to see if I can pull it up real quick while we're waiting. But the fact that one of them felt bad for other people that did not get in, and he wanted to use his ballot to make sure those people got recognition, is an absolute joke. And that's questioning to me of who gets votes in deciding who gets in the Hall of Fame. And that's part of the problem that we have. And while I'm looking for this, of the 2 names that did not vote for Bill Belichick, the big problem to me is this. We are in a really bad position when it comes to people that choose to put politics and pettiness in their voting process for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. It is an absolute disgrace and despicable and disgusting that Bill Belichick's not in on the first ballot. Not only does this prove that the Hall of Fame is getting watered down, but that it makes me question what is even a first ballot Hall of Famer anymore if Bill Belichick's not in. And I ask that seriously. What are we judging now as a first ballot Hall of Famer? Do you have to be squeaky clean to be first ballot? Like, what are we doing here? Oh, if you do one little thing, that's not going to be first ballot? Because to me, I'm going to be honest, Spygate and Deflategate are minimal compared to what other people have done that are in the Hall of Fame. If I'm being brutally honest. But because it wasn't spotless, because of this, he's not in. Because other people that didn't get in, we're going to use it as, oh, they should be in because I don't want them to not be in. Come on, man. This is a joke. This is severely flawed, and it's an extremely bad look that he's not in. And you've got voters that are coming out saying that they did vote for him. How do we know definitively some of those voters that said yes on social media were ones that actually said no? Guys, it pisses me off when guys that are not in the Hall of Fame that should be in are left out because of arguments that I don't understand rightfully. Like, Terrell Owens, look, like, we're not even factoring numbers. We're not even factoring in accolades anymore. We're factoring in little things that should honestly be so minimal. Like, I get T.O. had problems where we know how the Niners thing ended. We know how Philadelphia ended. I get all that. What about on-the-field production? That's really what it matters. Does on-the-field production now not matter compared to off-the-field instances now? Is this really what we're setting as the new precedent for the Hall of Fame? It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong what's going on. And it sucks. It absolutely is terrible that we're in this point. And I'm not seeing it on X right now. Let me pull it up right now. Because I know I saw the two that... Forgive me, guys. I'm trying to make sure I get the names of who did not vote for Belichick as of this morning. Yeah, this is the guy with the Kansas City Star, Vahe Gregorian from the Kansas City Star. And then there was another one, I think, Jerry Dulock from Pittsburgh that didn't vote him. Those were two people on the Hall of Fame voters. So those are the two I know for a fact. Again, I know one of them is confirmed. The other one is leaning like it's confirmed, but I wanted to make sure I got the names right. But still, like, guys, we need to change to the voting system for the Hall of Fame. We need people that know what Pro Football Hall of Famers qualify as, based on their on-the-field production. We need people that know for a fact, that have gone up against them, that know, look, this guy's a Hall of Famer. And again, I even throw in some of my own criteria that I think quantifies to, yeah, that's a Hall of Famer. For the obvious Hall of Famers. And we got two of them on this ballot that are, in my opinion, shoo-ins. Those guys, to me, what are we doing presentations on them for? It's a simple yes or no. The guys that are on the borderline, okay. But the shoo-ins? Why are we doing presentations? Come on, man. No. It should be a logic question. Yes or no? Now, borderline, okay, for the presentation part. But the obvious? You're wasting time for that. It's a simple yes or no. Bill Belichick's an obvious. 6-time Super Bowl champion. Second most wins all time in the regular season behind Don Shula. Most wins all time regular season and postseason. I could go on and on. 3-time coach of the year. What are we doing here? 8-time Super Bowl champion if you count the 2 Super Bowl rings with the Giants as a coordinator. It's a really bad look, man. It sucks that this is what the Hall of Fame now is looked at for this man not being in. It really is. And Bill Polian, who I know he was a well-respected GM with the Bills, with the Colts, and even Carolina. You really are going to put your personal agenda, your bias, and your politics and pettiness because he kicked your ass with the Colts and the fact that you lost the Super Bowl because of Scott Norwood missing wide right when you were with the Bills, you're going to hold all that against him, combined with the cheating allegations, as the reason that he should be punished to not be in on the first ballot, and your excuse is that, oh, well, I don't remember if I voted for him? Are you kidding me? Guys, understand what's going on right now. There's a pettiness, and politics are running this Hall of Fame right now. This is where the flaw in the system is. There is no reason 11 voters should have said no. There's none. And this is what makes me wonder if we're going to get a voting system change. And it needs to happen. It really does. We're just going to keep moving the goalposts on guys that should be shoo-ins. Logic should be taking over now. Did your on-the-field results matter when it came to your time in the nominee to be a Hall of Famer? In the case of Belichick and T.O., absolutely. They should be in. But if we're going to start not weighing what's being done on the field, then what are we doing, man? What are we doing? For the pure obvious Hall of Famers, this should be a shoo-in. I just don't understand why we have got to a point where we're putting politics and personal agendas and pettiness over logical, known results, if I'm making sense. This should have been a no-brainer. But instead, you've got everybody weighing on this. And as they should, because this is wrong. Any casual sports fan with the resume you put in front of them of Bill Belichick would tell you that he should be in. Bill Polian, I'm sorry. This is a really horrible reputation hit for you. And honestly, he should deserve all the flack and shit that he gets for this, because this is wrong. This is wrong. And I'll say this. I know Dave Portnoy's gone off on Wake Up Barstool, Tony Dungy and stuff. I want to know who the 11 voters were that didn't vote for him in. I got 2 now based on what I've looked up. If it comes out that Bill Polian, Tony Dungy did not vote for him, and it's looking like Polian did not vote for him based on everything that we're gathering, then we need to really get the Hall of Fame voting process to change. Because if we're going to start putting this stuff ahead of obvious shoo-ins, this is a joke. Dion said it best years ago that the Hall of Fame is becoming the Hall of Very Good. That's what it's heading to. That's where it's heading to. And it's a sad state that the Hall of Fame looks bad for this. It is really, really bad. There are guys, in my opinion, that waited too long to get in. Chris Carter waited too long. Shannon Sharp waited too long. T.O. waited 3 years. He should not have waited 3 years. It's honestly, it's not right. It's not right. And it's, in my opinion, a huge flaw with how the voting gets put in for Hall of Fame. And I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, you guys have known this show for 4 years. I take the Hall of Fame voting seriously. I do. Because I go by, are they Hall of Famers based on what I've seen? And if I haven't seen them, I lean on people that have watched those guys before me. And I'm like, okay, are they in? Now I'm getting to the point in my life where I've seen most of these guys play. And that's where I'm like, okay, I got to sit down and think. But for the shoo-ins, I'm like, please, they're in. And there's a lot of guys on this ballot right now that I know, that I've watched play, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's in my book. But then there's a lot of guys where I'm going, he was good, but are we going to say Hall of Fame level good? Once I start making that noise, I'm like, no. But just a sad state of affairs for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. This is a crime. And I'm getting sick of this. I'm getting really sick of this. And Jimmy Johnson went on a rant on social media, which the last time I seen Jimmy worked up this much was when the Cowboys were getting spanked by the Packers 2 years ago in the playoffs. And honestly, in my opinion, Jimmy Johnson waited too long to get in the Hall of Fame. He waited too long. That's another one. Dude changed the game valuing draft picks. He showed the league, look, if you trade for draft picks, you can build and develop a team that way. And he won 2 Super Bowls with that team. But he waited too long to get in the Hall of Fame. That was another one. It's just wrong, man. It's not right. It's absolutely not right that we are now in the position where people are putting personal agendas, politics, and pettiness into the Hall of Fame. And this is not right. Why should he wait because of cheating allegations? This is the problem that we have right now when it comes to voting process of who should be shooing Hall of Fame ballots. We're factoring too much of the negative and the off-the-field stuff rather than on-field production, rather than contributions to the game. The very same thing that we've made the Pro Football Hall of Fame for and why it's among the prestigious Hall of Fames is now taken down so much because of what they did to Bill Belichick and him not being on the first ballot. It's wrong, man. It's wrong. While I'm on the Hall of Fame, I might as well give you guys my Hall of Fame votes, in my opinion, for this year's class, because now the only senior nominee that is left is Robert Kraft. Now, what sucks about this is Polian's a huge Kraft supporter. Is this all politics to get Robert Kraft in over Bill Belichick? Are we kidding me right now? Another one, why isn't Kraft in sooner? I can't explain this the best, but let me give you guys all the finalists for the Hall of Fame. And I know there's another guy that's not in, confirmed as of the last, I want to say 12 plus hours or so. So here's all the finalists from the modern era first. Willie Anderson, Drew Brees, Jari Evans, Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore, Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri, Reggie Wayne, Kevin Williams, Jason Witten, Darren Woodson, Marshall Yanda. That's the modern era finalists. The contributors, seniors, Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft. And then the senior class nominees, Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, L.C. Greenwood. Now, I think a combination of the senior and the contributors, one of those guys gets in usually. They could vote more. I know it's happened before in the past. It's usually been one. So the seniors and the contributors are labeled together, or bunched together, I should say. And then the modern era, they usually go a max of 5, and then I think the minimum they did was 3. So here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you guys my votes for who I think will make the Hall of Fame. Now, I've been mostly accurate the last couple of years I've done this. So, again, this is who I'm predicting gets in. It's not confirmed. It's who I'm predicting gets in. Most of these usually are accurate. So, I think we can all agree there's 2 shoo-ins. Like, no questions asked. Drew Brees and Larry Fitzgerald easily are Hall of Famers. We can all agree. Now, if we're going for the minimum, who meets the minimum? There's a couple guys that I see that I'm like, okay, they'll get in. And this is where it gets a little tough to vote one in. Now, I'm going to tell you who I was down to. I'm going by the list on my laptop. I was between Torrey Holt. I was between Luke Kuechly, Adam Vinatieri, Terrell Suggs, and Jason Witten for my last spot. I've even probably gone with 2 guys because I'm like, they've done 4. Last year was 4 for the modern era guys. So I've got 4 names that I got. I have Breeze and Fitzgerald as locks. The other 2, I vote Adam Vinatieri because you can't tell the history of the game without him. Made 2 of the toughest field goals in one of the iconic playoff games of all time, the Tuck Rule game. Has 2 Super Bowl game-winning field goals, 36 and 38. He's won 4 Super Bowls as a player. He has the most points scored in NFL history. Need I say more? Morton Anderson and Jan Stenerud got in. You're going to tell me Adam Vinatieri's not a Hall of Famer? I mean, he's an obvious to me. I would go him. The last spot. And this one, I'm not mad if people give me a little flack, but I'm going by what I remember watching. I'm going Luke Kuechly. Because from his time in the league, he was the best linebacker in football a large majority of those years. The only other name I can definitively say that he's up for debate with, and he's still playing right now, is Bobby Wagner. During his time in the league. That's it. And all the guys that were right there with him eventually all got in. Patrick Willis, I believe, got in. Ray Lewis on the tail end, he's in. Urlacher's in. And I'm trying to remember everybody. It's hard to remember because I'm going through 32 teams on the fly. It's hard to remember everybody. But Patrick Willis finally got in. So, I mean, why not? And Patrick Willis had a short career too. Luke Kuechly played 2012 to 2019. Or 2018. Yeah, no, 2019. I was right. So, Defensive Player of the Year. All-decade team for the 2010s. Made a Super Bowl. He had a lot of first-team All-Pro selections. I would give it to him as my 4th modern era guy. Now, if there was a 5th that they ended up doing, now I don't think there's going to be 5 from the modern eras, but I got 4 on mine. They're definitely going to go 3. And if it were to be 3, I would go Breeze, Fitzgerald, Vinatieri. I think they should add Kuechly, make it 4. If I'm being totally real, that would be my ballot. But if you're going to go 5, I'd be between Torrey Holt, I'd be between Suggs, and I'd be between Jason Witten. Those would be my choices for the modern era guys. Now, when I go to the senior/contributor category, if Belichick's not in, the best name on the list is Robert Kraft. He should be it. But here's what the talk's going to be, guys. Because Polian's a huge Kraft supporter, did Polian get the Hall of Fame voters to agree, let's let Kraft go in first, and then make Bill go in after? Which I don't think is right. I don't think it's right. I was going to vote Belichick before I got the news Tuesday night. But now, learning of the news, I have to change it, and I went with Robert Kraft. And I think Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, L.C. Greenwood were really good players. Hall of Fame, though? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to convince me that they are. But I'm going with Robert Kraft. So my Hall of Fame ballot, Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, shoo-ins. Adam Vinatieri, Luke Kuechly are the other modern era guys I think that are going to get in. And then I think Robert Kraft's a shoo-in as well, if Belichick's not in. Which, in this case, he's not. So if Belichick's out of the ballot and didn't make it, Robert Kraft would be my next vote. Just doesn't feel right that Belichick's not a first ballot Hall of Famer. It just doesn't feel right. So, The other nominee that I did hear that did not make it was Eli Manning, which I don't have that big of an issue with because, if you look at his career outside of the 2 Super Bowl wins, he had very average seasons. He did. Now, in all honesty, he's going to get in because people are going to make the argument that he beat Brady twice. You can't tell the history of the league without him, which I'm not mad at those that say that. But in my opinion, compared to some of these other guys that are on the finalist ballot, nope. He can wait, but he'll get in. But it does not surprise me that he's not on the ballot for the Hall of Fame for the actual class. He's on the finalists, but he did not make it as of last night from what I heard. So, does not surprise me. Now we get into the NFL Honors Awards that start next Thursday, I believe. Quote me if I'm... Oh, no, the ceremony will take place Saturday, February 5th. So, yes. So, this will be on Saturday. So, I thought it was in the middle of the week. Because sometimes they've done it in the middle of the week. I don't know why. And then they do it like the day before some years. But I lose track because they changed the dang ceremony to different days. So, forgive me, guys. It is on the day before the Super Bowl, which they've done it in the past. I don't know why they moved it to like Wednesday or Thursday at different Super Bowl sites or whatever in previous years. I don't know why. But nevertheless, the award ceremony will take place on the Saturday before the Super Bowl. And I'll get the date for you guys that are wondering. Saturday, February 5th will be the award ceremony for the NFL Honors. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to save the big awards for last, and then I'm going to go into the bigger names at the tail end. So let's start with the Rookies of the Year. Let's start with Offensive Rookie of the Year because this one is sort of a toss-up between 2 guys. So here's your Offensive Rookie of the Year nominees. We have Jackson Dart from the Giants. We have Emeka Egbuka, the wide receiver from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We have Travion Henderson, the running back from the New England Patriots. We have Tetairoa McMillan from the Carolina Panthers. And we have Tyler Shaw from the New Orleans Saints. Let's cross off the obvious, who I don't think is winning it. I don't think it's going to be Emeka Egbuka. He had a good start, and then he fell off towards the second half. It's not going to be Jackson Dart because it started out good for him, and then it dwindled down once the Giants started tanking. And it's not going to be Travion Henderson because outside of 1 month, it's not going to help him win. So it's 2 guys to me that this award is down to. Tyler Shaw did gain a lot of steam towards the end of the year, but because he started 2/3 of the way through, is it enough to give him that award over Tetairoa McMillan, who mostly played the entire season? This is where I'm like, are we going by momentum award or are we going by what a full season in totality is? Because if we're going by momentum, I'm not surprised if Tyler Shaw wins it. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins it. But if we're going by a full season in totality, and again, these awards are all voted based on the regular season, I voted for Tetairoa McMillan. Because he had a lot of games this year where he did really well for Carolina. He probably didn't light it up a lot of games as a rookie like Justin Jefferson did. But he got his team to the playoffs. And I know Shaw had a good momentum ending to his rookie year. But in my opinion, though, I'm looking at a full season in totality when I look at this award. I'm going Tetairoa McMillan for my Offensive Rookie of the Year over Tyler Shaw. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if Shaw wins, but I'm going Tet McMillan. I think he's earned it. I think he had a lot of really good games for the Panthers. That is my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Defensive Rookie of the Year. We have Abdul Carter from the Giants, Nick Amanawari from the Seattle Seahawks, James Pierce Jr. from the Atlanta Falcons, Carson Schwarzenegger from the Cleveland Browns, and Xavier Watts from the Atlanta Falcons. This one's a little tougher for me because I look at this as who flashed the most. And this one is tough. I'm not going to say Abdul Carter. I know he had a lot of QB pressures that jumped out to a lot of people. I'm going to say no on him. James Pierce Jr., I like him. I don't think he's going to win. Xavier Watts, I know he had a really good game against the Rams late. I'm going to say no to him. So I'm down to Nick Manowari or Carson Schwarzenegger from Cleveland. Nick Manowari's flashed in the playoffs when I've watched Seattle. Schwarzenegger, I think he was among the tops in tackles for rookies, and I think he has a couple interceptions on the year. This is tough. I'm going to say, and usually I go with Vegas on some of these if I'm tossed up because Vegas has a little knowledge on this. I went with Schwarzenegger from Cleveland. I did. Over Manowari. Now, I think he's going to get it because he led rookies in tackles. He had some interceptions. He was on a really good Browns defense. I think he's going to get it over Manowari, even though I would not be mad at all if Nick Manowari won it. But if I'm going by what I think the voters will factor in, I think Carson Schwarzenegger from Cleveland is going to win the Defensive Rookie of the Year award. That is my pick for that award. I don't think Carter, Pierce Jr., or Watts is going to win it. I think it's Manowari or Schwarzenegger in my ballot. So I'm going Carson Schwarzenegger from Cleveland to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go now to Assistant Coach of the Year first because this one is one where I have a clear, no, I wouldn't say a clear favorite. I have one where I feel like he's going to win it. So here's the nominees for Assistant Coach of the Year award. Vic Fangio, Defensive Coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Brian Flores, Defensive Coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. Vance Joseph, Defensive Coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Clint Kubiak, the Offensive Coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Josh McDaniels, the Offensive Coordinator for the New England Patriots. I'm going to remove Flores and Fangio because I feel like the Eagles' defense did really well, but statistically they did not jump out to a lot of voters, I think. Brian Flores, he is among one of the best in the league without question. But the team did not do well. Not his fault by any means, but the team did not do well. So I feel like they're going to kind of not give it to him. I'm going to nail my finalist voting to Vance Joseph, Clint Kubiak, or Josh McDaniels. I would not be surprised if any one of these three won it. But if I had to boil it down to one pick, I'm going to give it to Clint Kubiak for Seattle. He would get my Assistant Coach of the Year vote because what he did with Sam Darnold this year, to me, is going to factor in what voters are going to look at. Josh McDaniels, what he did with Drake May was really good. But I feel like Kubiak, what he did with Sam Darnold, is more of impressive because you guys got to remember, Kubiak was with the Saints last year. And they had all those points he scored through the first 2 weeks, and then they fell off. But Sam Darnold, he helped get them to the number one seed in the NFC. And JSN having a breakout year is going to play a big part in this, I think. Vance Joseph, what he did in Denver, I think absolutely deserves consideration as well. But I feel like, to me, even though Seattle didn't light it up offensively at certain times during this year, I feel like Clint Kubiak's going to win it because of JSN's really good season and the fact that they were the number 1 seed in the NFC. I feel like Seattle, Clint Kubiak, they're going to win assistant coach of the year. He would get my vote right now over Josh McDaniels and Vance Joseph. See, I'm not biased when it comes to my voting, guys, okay? I'm not biased, okay? Now, a little more tougher. Coach of the year. These guys all deserve consideration. I would not be surprised if either one of these guys won it. Liam Cohen, head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Ben Johnson, head coach of the Chicago Bears. Mike McDonald, head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Kyle Shanahan, head coach of the San Francisco 49ers. Mike Vrabel, head coach of the New England Patriots. This is a tough call. And this is where I think, to me, I have to boil it down to who I think is going to win it. And I think, honestly, the story is going to give a lot of these guys the edge. You know what? Just because I am a New England fan, why not too? You guys are going to get mad at my bias. So what? This is a toss-up. I would not be surprised if any of these guys won the award. But because you know what? I'm going to represent the Patriots. I'm going to give it to Mike Vrabel. He took over a team that had back-to-back 4-win seasons. The turnaround that he has had with this team, 14-3. I feel like you got to give it to him. I feel like the story favors Vrabel more. Again, I know Liam Cohen with Jacksonville, they had a horrible year the year before. Ben Johnson, the Bears were in purgatory the last 4 years. But I feel like you have to give this one to Mike Vrabel. Because the turnaround of back-to-back 4-win seasons for New England, they were in the basement. The meteoric rise to 14-3, number 2 seed in the AFC, the turnaround that he did with this team. I gave one to Seattle for assistant coach of the year. I'm giving one to the Super Bowl team, and that's going to be Mike Vrabel in New England. Again, I will not be mad if Liam Cohen or Ben Johnson wins it or Kyle Shanahan wins it. I'm not even mad if Mike McDonald wins, but I feel like it's going to be either Cohen, Johnson, Shanahan, or Vrabel as to who realistically wins. I'm going with Mike Vrabel from New England because I think the story's on his side. I think it's going to come down to the turnarounds and where they're at this point. So give me Mike Vrabel to win Coach of the Year right now as my pick to win it over those guys. Again, no problem if any of those guys win it. Now let's go to Offensive Player of the Year. Let's go to these nominees. It's Drake May, quarterback of the Patriots. Christian McCaffrey, running back for the 49ers. Puka Nacua, the wide receiver from the Rams. Bijan Robinson, the running back for the Atlanta Falcons. Jackson Smith-Njigba, wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I don't think Bijan or McCaffrey are going to win. I don't think Drake May is going to win this award. I'm down to either Puka or JSN because I feel like it's going to go to one of those guys. Both of those guys had outstanding seasons. You can't go wrong with either one of those two. I'm going to give it to Jackson Smith-Njigba because there were so many games this year where I was like, yeah, he just went takeover mode. To be fair, Puka had the same too, but I feel like more of a sample size. I'm going to give it to Jackson Smith-Njigba because I feel like there were so many games this year where even some I didn't watch where I was like, yep, he's having a monster season. And I think if they're going to go by offensive yards, receiving yards in this case, they're going to give it to Smith-Njigba. If he led the league in receiving, it's going to go to Smith-Njigba, which I think is going to be a factor into what separates these guys. I'm going Jackson Smith-Njigba for my Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year. Let's go over the nominees. Will Anderson Jr. from the Houston Texans. Nick Bonito from the Denver Broncos. Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns. Aiden Hutchinson from the Detroit Lions, Micah Parsons from the Green Bay Packers. I feel like, guys, this is the one award where I'm like, if he doesn't win it, there's going to be some uproar. It's Myles Garrett. I picked Myles Garrett. 23 sacks. You have to give it to him because he broke the sack record. And I feel like if he doesn't win it, then that's going to be much of a shock to me. It's Myles Garrett to me. I've been saying for years, I think he's been on that trajectory where he's going to win a Defensive Player of the Year award. I've mostly been on point with a few of these guys. I said TJ Watt at some points was going to do it. I knew Nick Bosa would get there at some point. I knew Myles Garrett was heading towards that way, and he's going to win it. So give me Myles Garrett to win Defensive Player of the Year. Now, let's get to the most talked about award that everybody's wondering, Rich, who do you have for MVP? Well, let's go over the nominees. Josh Allen from the Buffalo Bills, Trevor Lawrence from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Drake May from the New England Patriots, Christian McCaffrey from the 49ers, Matthew Stafford from the Los Angeles Rams. First of all, let's get Trevor Lawrence and Christian McCaffrey out. They're not going to win it. Josh Allen is going to be third, which puts me in the dilemma because it's Drake May and Matthew Stafford. Now, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you following Lounge Time a lot this season, I technically bet on Drake May to win MVP back before Week 5 against the Bills at 75-1. I bet him for $1, so I'm damn hoping I win almost $100, okay? Because I would be really, really happy if that happened. Okay? I got it at odds that nobody thought he was going to win it. So, I hope Drake May wins because I win money if it happens. But if I'm being honest as to who I think is going to win it, and this crushes me, they're kind of making this a Lifetime Achievement Award for Matthew Stafford. And I think he's going to win MVP because voters that are biased, again, I said it with the Hall of Fame, it probably is going to apply with the honors at some point. And you could joke and say I biasly voted for Mike Vrabel. No, I went with who I think the story is going to be with as well. But I also want to give New England some love in some of these awards. I think Stafford's going to win MVP because they're going to say he's probably got most touchdowns and that he probably has more yards than May, which he probably does. So I think they're going to factor that in. Although, if I'm being honest, the last quarterback that did not win, the last quarterback that did win MVP on a non-division winner team, in this case a top 4 seed, the last guy to do that was Peyton Manning back in 2008 among quarterbacks. Now, overall, Adrian Peterson back in 2012. So, I feel like it's going to be Stafford because they're going to look at the touchdowns. They're going to look at a Lifetime Achievement Award because of some voters. And I blame Dan Orlovsky for this because he has a vote. He technically shouldn't because he's also Stafford's best buddy, which is not right. This is why there's a severe problem with the voting system. Not just in the Hall of Fame, but in general. But again, I fear Stafford's going to win it. And I think he's going to, in all likelihood. I do hope that Drake May wins because I make money if that happens. And I really, really hope so, but I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going with Stafford for the MVP. I think that's where the voters are going to end up going. But if Drake May wins, I'm going to be really, really happy because I'm going to be like, I make money. Almost $100, by the way, which is nice. So, one more recap of my ballot for the NFL honors. I have Ted McMillan winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I have Carson Schwarzenegger winning Defensive Rookie of the Year. I have Mike Vrabel winning Coach of the Year. I have Clint Kubiak winning Assistant Coach of the Year. I have Jackson Smith and Jigba winning Offensive Player of the Year. I have Myles Garrett winning Defensive Player of the Year. And I have Matthew Stafford winning MVP on my awards ballot right now for the NFL honors. So those are my awards for the NFL honors. I gave you guys my Hall of Fame. Go back and make note of it if you want. Also, you guys are more than welcome to tell me who you guys pick in the comments. Have some fun with that. So there you guys have it. I told you guys this is going to be a little bit shorter today because it's really just the awards pick. So let's go over the schedule for next week. Now, this is where it gets hard for content-wise because we're down to one game. So we are definitely going to have the Super Bowl pick, keys to the game, the breakdown as to how I see this going, how I see it playing out. That's going to be late next week. Looking at doing it either late Friday night or early Saturday morning. We're going to do it like that. And then early in the week, I'm going to give my college basketball fans my new updated top 25 poll because I feel like I want to talk about some teams because a lot has happened since I gave my top 25 poll. So we're going to do that, I'm thinking, for the early half of next week. And I think what I'll end up doing is we'll make Monday more of a college basketball show because I want to talk college hoops a lot on this channel eventually as we get to March Madness. So I'm thinking Monday we're going to do a top 25 ballot, my updated top 25, and a lot's changed, and who I think can absolutely win the national championship. And then we're going to do the Super Bowl breakdown later in the week. I'm looking at Friday night, Saturday morning at the latest for that. So that way you guys have enough time to see who my pick is going to be. I want to factor a couple of these things in later. The absolute latest will be Sunday morning because I do want to see a particular individual's pick that I follow. Let's put it that way. So, and he is the worst gambler in sports. I'll leave a hint at that. Although that might be well later after I make the show, so I have to really wait and see. But thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, so that way you guys get all the latest content as we approach Super Bowl 60. You do not want to miss it. We're going to have a pick, breakdown, keys to the game. Don't want to miss out on that. You can also follow me at LoungeTimePod on X, where, yes, if you tweet at me a question for the show, next week is kind of the window to hit because content's dry at the moment. So if you have a question for me on the show, if you send it in by Monday, I'll answer it for you because Monday is just college basketball top 25. You can also follow me on Rumble. We have a couple followers on Rumble. We're looking to grow the following there. So try to help us boost that community as well. So give me a follow on Rumble. Let's grow Lounge Time together that way. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Got Pro Bowl, which I'm not watching. Sorry. It's not even like real football to me when it comes to the Pro Bowl. But thank you so much for watching Lounge Time. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys on Monday where we break down the updated top 25 for college basketball on my scale. And we will probably talk a little bit more on the Super Bowl depending on what I can find. But until then, I'll see you guys next week and enjoy the rest of your weekend. See you guys on Monday.